on the eastern coast of Cyprus, just steps from one of the most beautiful beaches in the Mediterranean, stands a skyline of luxury hotels, palm trees, golden sand, warm, shallow water. And yet, for 50 years, almost no one was allowed to set foot here. This is Varosha, the resort city that was abandoned mid-sentence. A city where shops still held their stock, where cars still waited in showrooms, where laundry still hung on balconies, at least in the stories of the people who fled. In August 1974, tens of thousands of people locked their doors and ran from an advancing army. Most of them believed they would return within a week. 50 years later, some of them are still waiting. If you visit the city of Famagusta today, you can walk right up to the edge of Varosha, and you'll see it before you understand it. A line of barbed wire cutting straight across the coastline, watchtowers, faded warning signs, and behind them, an entire district of high-rise hotels slowly crumbling in the sea breeze. Locals call it Kapal Mara, the enclosed city. The name Varosha comes from a Slavic word meaning suburb, because this district grew up just outside the walls of old Famagusta. Since 1974, this area has been sealed off, guarded by the Turkish military, watched over by peacekeepers. For decades, no civilians lived here. No cars moved. No lights came on at night. The city simply stopped. But to understand why an entire city was abandoned overnight, we have to go back to the time when Varosha was one of the most glamorous places on the planet. In the 1960s and early 70s, Cyprus was a rising star of Mediterranean tourism, and Varosha was its crown jewel. Developers built modernist hotel after hotel along the beach. The King George, the Argo, the Asterias, the Canadiana, sleek concrete towers with terraces overlooking the sea. By 1974, Varosha had more than 40 hotels, thousands of hotel beds, hundreds of shops, restaurants, and nightclubs. It was called the Miami of the Mediterranean. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton vacationed here. Brigitte Bardot sunbathed on this sand. The global elite came to see and be seen. But Varosha wasn't just a postcard. Famagusta was Cyprus's busiest port and economic engine, and Varosha was its shining face. Tens of thousands of people lived and worked here, families building lives in a country that felt like it had its whole future ahead of it. And then came the summer of 1974. In July 1974, Cyprus was thrown into chaos. On July 15th, a coup backed by the military junta in Greece overthrew President Makarios with the goal of uniting the island with Greece. 5 days later, on July 20th, Turkey launched a military intervention, citing its rights as a guarantor power under the island's Treaty of Independence. Turkish troops landed on the northern coast. Fighting broke out across Cyprus. A ceasefire held briefly, and peace talks began in Geneva, but they collapsed. On August 14th, Turkish forces launched a second offensive, and this time, they advanced fast. As troops pushed toward Famagusta, panic spread. People heard the shells getting closer. Rumors flew from house to house. Families grabbed what they could carry: documents, some money, a change of clothes, and ran. Many headed south, on foot, by car, on any boat that would take them. Most were sure the fighting would stop within days. They locked their doors. They left furniture inside. Some even left food on the table. They had no idea they would never come back. In just a few days, nearly 40,000 people fled Varosha and the surrounding area. It was one of the fastest and most complete evacuations of a city in modern history. Imagine, you're told to leave, so you grab your children and your papers. You walk down your street, past neighbors doing the same thing. You look back once at your apartment, your shop, your hotel, and you tell yourself, I'll be back next week. Next week became next month. Next month became next year. And next year became 50 years. The people of Varosha scattered, many to nearby Paralimni and Protaras, others across Cyprus and across the world. And they carried with them something that still defines this story today. Their house keys. Keys to doors they haven't opened in half a century, kept in drawers, in jewelry boxes, passed from parents to children. Behind them, Varosha was sealed, barbed wire went up, guard posts were built, and the city became a forbidden zone, a no-man's land on a divided island. For decades, Varosha existed in a strange state of suspended animation. Reports from the few who've been inside, unpersonnel, journalists given rare access, describe a city slowly surrendering to nature. Paint peels off hotel facades in long ribbons, windows shatter one by one, balconies sag, palm trees grow through cracked sidewalks, furniture rots in empty lobbies. In the early years, stories circulated of a perfect time capsule. Brand new 1974 cars still sitting in showrooms, dresses still hanging in boutiques, plates still on tables. Much of that decayed or disappeared over time, but the myth of the frozen city endures, because it captures a deeper truth. Varosha is a place that was cut off from time. There is one strange silver lining. Because humans disappeared, nature moved in. Varosha's beach became an important nesting site for green sea turtles, which laid their eggs in the undisturbed sand. In 1984, the UN Security Council passed Resolution 550, calling for Varosha to be placed under an administration, and declaring any attempt to settle it with people other than its original inhabitants unacceptable. The resolution was never enforced. The wire stayed up, and Varosha waited. Then, in October 2020, something changed. Turkish Cypriot authorities opened part of Varosha's beachfront promenade to the public, for the first time in 46 years. In 2021, more areas followed. Today, you can walk along part of the old seafront. You'll see sections of the beach cleaned up, benches installed, visitors taking selfies with crumbling hotels as their backdrop. There are even small cafes and bicycle rentals. Surreal signs of life in a place that was silent for generations. But the move is deeply controversial. The UN Security Council condemned the reopening, reaffirming that Varosha should be handled according to the 1984 resolution. For many Greek Cypriot former residents, the partial opening felt like a wound being reopened. Some refuse to engage with it at all, while others have filed property claims, hoping to one day reclaim a family home or hotel. So Varosha today exists in two states at once. A small slice becoming a strange new kind of tourist attraction, and the vast majority still sealed, still crumbling, still waiting. Varosha is more than a ghost town. It's a monument to an unresolved conflict, a place where politics drew a line on a map, and an entire city paid the price. It's a time capsule of the 1970s, slowly dissolving into dust. A beach where turtles nest where sunbathers once lay. A set of keys kept warm in someone's pocket for 50 years. Whether you see it as a tragedy, a political pawn, or a hauntingly beautiful ruin, one thing is certain. There is no other place on earth quite like Varosha. And somewhere out there, someone is still holding the key.